Everyone, I'm Jenny Lynn Wire, award-winning author of Steamy Small Town and Spicy Dark Romance, and your host for this episode of Here for the Romance. I'm so excited to welcome author MJ Marino to the author chat today. MJ Marino is a self-described quirky romance author wearing white glasses and a hankering for dirty jokes, which we'll get into. MJ writes steamy, insta-lust-to-love biker and mountain romance novels with strong-willed females and over-the-top protective males. She focuses on the love story and adds plenty of spice, suspense, and comedy, bringing it all together with a happily ever after. Aside from writing, she is often found reading a juicy romance, cursing up a storm as she rips weeds out of her garden, advocating in the community, or chugging coffee to stay focused at her computer. So, MJ, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, it's we something that we had talked about before. We've known each other virtually for a
Yeah.
long time, almost 6 years now, but we've never really met. So I'm really excited to
No.
have you, you know,
Yeah.
here so that we can actually talk and talk books, you know, because I've read, you know, your books and I'm ready to dive right in if you are.
All right. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. So, for readers who are not familiar with you or the books that you write, do you want to, you know, kind of like introduce yourself and talk about the types of romance novels that you write? Because it's Motorcycle Club and Mountain Men
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
I'm MJ Marino. I write steamy, fast burn, instalust-to-love, protective, mercenary biker romances, and mountain man romances. Um, I started publishing the same year that you did in 2020, and I before that I was a chemist. You were a physicist, I believe that's what you said, and I wasn't, my heart wasn't in it. So I eventually left. And at that point, writing was just a hobby. I didn't think it would really go anywhere. So, I tried doing the traditional publishing route. It just didn't work out for me. And, by the time I didn't, when I worked in the lab, I didn't consider self publishing just because I worked a lot of hours and I just didn't see how it was going to be feasible for me. So when I eventually did leave the lab, it happened to be around the same time that my husband had to have back surgery and he was laid up in bed. And the only time that I could spend time with him is when being in bed with him and not in the fun
Laptop,
way.
I got it. Yep.
And he was listening to his audiobooks and I didn't want to listen to his audiobooks. So I had pulled up my laptop and I was just putzing around on one of my old stories. And he said, maybe you should, now that you're not working in the lab anymore, maybe you should try self-publishing them. And that's where the whole writing journey began.
Hopefully you did it a little more organized than I did because I was
Oh,
just
I
like,
don't know about
okay,
that.
written, published, let's go. No clue about, you know, all the other things. And so, you know, I learned as I stumbled.
It's a huge learning experience. Everything is it seems like every time you turn around you have to learn something new for, whether it's the book end of it or the marketing end of it. It's a lot. I agree.
Yep. And the 10 million social media platforms that you have to be a member of so that you can post your books. It's never ending.
It
Oh my
never
goodness.
ends.
Okay, so I want to just like jump right into your main trope series. So Motorcycle Club romance is one of the highest romance tropes in um, the genre, and it has a huge fan base. So,
Yeah.
what made you decide to write in that trope? Because I know I went through my MC phase for like a year. That's all I was reading for some reason. I guess that's when I started getting into my dark stuff
Yep.
because a lot of Motorcycle Club is dark,
It,
but we're
yep.
going to talk about how you make yours different, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like, um I when I decided I was going to do self-publishing, I did my research into figuring out what were the best self-published books to, market. Because when you go into it, you got to be able to sell your books. And romance came back, and I was like, okay, that's great, but I hadn't read a lot of romance at that point. So I started consuming massive amounts of it, reading in every subgenre and trope that you can imagine so that I could figure out what I liked. And I kept coming back to the biker romance, and not because I liked it, but because it made me really upset when I read it. Um,
I love that. So you wrote what made you angry. So I guess that's how you're going to do your twist.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I was not happy with how the bikers were portrayed and how they treated their women. Now, that's not to say that there weren't biker romances where the bikers treated their women good. It's just I wasn't stumbling upon them at that time.
Mm.
So I have a very different viewpoint of bikers in general, just because my uncle was a biker. He was MC, and I grew up in Wisconsin, where biker culture is huge here. And I just have my interactions with bikers are very different than what I was seeing on the the pages. You read a lot of the biker romance, and it's like one percenters, dark romance, and you think like Sons of Anarchy, and I just wasn't seeing
That's what got it really.
really going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't seeing the bikers that I am familiar with. And I realized then it was like, okay, I need to write that, because I want to see that on the page, and maybe somebody else does too. So that's why I picked the biker trope for what I started my writing career with.
That's it's that so sorry. I'm going to segue because that's something that I really wanted to, discuss.
Sure.
It's MC romances, like we said, have certain elements that make them that trope. But your stories also contain very strong women who can stand on their own and are just as kick butt as the men in the stories.
Yeah.
And so was that something, very important for you to include? Because I know, in mine, I'm like my women have got to be strong
Yep.
or stronger mentally, not, or they can fight as well as the men. But I want that female empowerment.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I didn't like how the biker romances that I was reading, they often treated their women like doormats, and these women would take it. Um, Out of all of the biker women that I have ever met, or who have dated, married a biker or MC, no, they are women you don't want to mess with.
They run the show.
They are super tough, and they will knock some sense into a guy if they try to do something like that before they say adios and leave, because they're not going to put up with that. They that's not to say they can't be vulnerable. They absolutely can, but they have boundaries, and they stick to those boundaries. And yeah, that's why I wanted to have my female characters be portrayed like that. They can show their softer side, but they're also, they're going to go toe to toe. They're not going to back down.
Yeah, I always wondered with the first MC, like you said, that it was always very formulaic how it was written. And I think that's why when I read your first book in the series, I loved it because of that reason.
Aw.
That the woman had character. She was strong. She was independent. She didn't need
Yep.
him. And then he was also different as well.
Yes.
So do you want to talk a little bit about how you structured your MMCs? Because they are different from.
They are. So what you're going to see with a lot of my biker romances is that, like, there's going to be a learning curve with these guys. There always
Yeah.
is. And my characters are, especially my males, they are over the top. Like as soon as like they see a woman, they're like, okay, yes, I want her. What do I have to do to make her
That
mine?
instalust-to-love. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I wanted a female character to go. I wanted my female characters to go coincide with them. I I don't I don't necessarily like um, weak female characters, but I think we get a little that gets a little muddied sometimes because I do think that female characters can be vulnerable, um,
Not weak.
not weak,
No.
and it's how they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's they're able to express themselves. They're able to share their emotions. They're able to tell someone when their feelings have been hurt, and and they're not just gonna sit there and take it. And and they can cry, and they can be mad, and they can shout. They can get emotional, and I think that kind of vulnerability is a strength because it takes a lot of courage to, show that.
To
Yeah,
express.
to express that emotion. I think a lot of people often bury their emotions because they're afraid of how they're going to be portrayed, how their partner might see them. And that goes for, males, females, FMCs, MMCs. I wanted my characters might start off a little bit rough in the end, in the beginning, where they're not sure exactly, but they learn together, where they're like, okay, if I express myself this way, they're going to understand. And so that's kind of how I set up my bikers and their women, because I want people to see that yes, you can grow with your partner, that you don't need to be just rough and tumble all the time. You don't need to be, have your walls up all the time. Um, it's There is strength and vulnerability.
I mean, and that's what, we need for the main characters. You don't want a static character. You want a character that grows, a well-rounded, that starts out one way, ends a different way. I mean, that's the whole point of fiction, honestly, in my opinion, because you have to have
Yeah,
those round characters, and then of course you have to have the static characters, but the round ones are your main ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say that my biker romances, they have dark themes, but I wouldn't call them dark romance. Like there's a lot of scenarios that happen that are on the darker side, but I don't like showing damage on the page. I like if something's happened to a
Yeah.
female character, I don't show it. I
Yeah.
mention
Same.
it, and it's never the MMC that's the culprit behind it. I don't
Mhm.
like showing that. So even though some of the subjects that come up in my books might fall under that dark theme, they aren't dark romances.
So the other flip side of your stories. So romance stories aren't just for lingering glances and angsty
Yep.
buildup. There's also something in the romance verse called insta-love,
Yep.
but you call your books insta-lust-to-love. What aspect of that for your characters attracts you as a writer? Because, clearly it's something that you love to include in each one. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So uh, insta love gets knocked hard in the romance book world. Lots of readers and authors say it's not realistic. And to that, I say neither is, the hot fairy men with the wings or the
Yeah,
blue
and the
air.
dragon, falling in love
Yeah.
with the dragon.
Or,
Yeah.
the multiple billionaires that are out there, seeking a partner. Um, and it's just, none of it's real. So, if I
Yeah,
wanted,
there aren't 100,000 nannies out there falling in love with their
no,
billionaire single
they're
dads.
right. And it's kind of like if I wanted a realistic romance, I would read or write nonfiction. It's
I've said the
I
same thing. If I want real life, I'll read nonfiction.
yeah,
I want an escapism.
exactly. And so that's why I want I want the escape. I want to, block out the reality for, a bit. And I want that for my readers. And I wanted my readers to kind of experience a taste of what real life insta love romance is. And I know you know the story, but my husband and I, we have what I would consider an insta-lust-to-love real romance. And we met in college in chemistry class, and we were assigned to be lab partners. And I thought he was cute and everything else, but we were the worst lab partners together. We butted heads all the time. We had very different lab philosophies where I was very quantitative and, followed the recipe to, its exact measurements. My husband was very organic in his
Just
chemistry.
man, and
Yeah.
just dumping stuff in there.
And that drove my OCD through the roof. It caused a lot of fights. And eventually our professor was like, okay, yeah, I got to separate you. You guys can't be partners. And then it came down to we had to do what it was called the concrete experiment, where we had to create a concrete compound that could withstand a hammer test. And my husband, who he was putting himself through school by being a concrete worker, he did that for
Seems like
construction.
I got this in the back.
Yeah, he was rubbing it in my face. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, I bet you wish you were my partner now, blah blah blah. And I was, yeah. Anyways, it came day of testing, and my concrete ended up winning. So yeah, I gave it back to him. I was like, oh, look at this, concrete man can't make his own concrete. And he just kind of laughed along, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I you did a great job. I would like to congratulate you by taking you out to coffee. And it yeah, it was like, whoa. And then 5 months later, he's proposing to me, and we've been together almost 25 years. So it's,
Oh my God, you and I are twins, girl. I mean, I didn't have the Insta love,
yeah,
but college
yeah.
and oh God,
Aside
and about
goes
the
for
same
the,
time being
yeah,
married.
yeah, yeah. And so it's kind of, I wanted my readers to experience that, because it can happen. Like I hate when people say it's not realistic. It's kind of like, well, then what was mine? And so I I just wanted how do I say it? I I wanted my readers to experience that instant attraction, that insta love, but I also realized that readers are not going to accept that as easily. So what they can accept is like, that instant attraction that you have with someone, where you might have a one night stand and you think that that's all it's going to be, but
And
all
that's
it's,
real life, yeah.
yeah, but then it like blooms into something more, like something that maybe neither of you expected. And so that's why I say it's kind of the insta lust to love, and it can go fast, and it
Yeah.
and clearly. And for me, I think there's something incredibly attractive about a man seeing a woman and being like, whoa, who is that? I want to know her. I
Yes.
want to get to know, like, it just immediately want something more with her. And I think in a world where guys can be so indecisive in what they want, it's very refreshing to see MMCs who are like, nope, I know what I want, and it's her, and I'm gonna take her.
So speaking of the Insta Lust to Love, because that scene in book one, it was like the very beginning. It was the park, and yeah, it was. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it
They
was. I
okay.
wrote I wrote that scene, and I remember I handed it over to my editor at the time, and she's like, this seems really, really soon. And I'm like, and she was strongly encouraging me to remove it. And I said, no, I'm like, that's going to stay. But like, we've talked about it before, but that scene is based on a real life experience that I had, not as the participant, but as the spectator,
Oh, that's story.
the unwilling spectator. And so yeah, I was 19 or 20, and I was a collegiate athlete at the time, and I was a distance runner for cross country and track. And I would get up super early in the morning to get, like if some days I had to do as much as like 20 miles, depending. So it was like I'd get up in the morning to get at least 10 miles in for the day. And it was 5 in the morning. I went to this park in my city, and it's more of a state park. So it's not like, not like the park where everybody can see everything. And I would run the outskirts of the park because it just gave me the most mileage. And so I'd be running on these little game trails that weren't meant for humans to be running on. And I had just come to the end of my run, and I was popping out back onto the main trail, and
Oh,
got the shock of my life when I see two other people who are there bright and early in the morning going at it against a tree. And I was, I was like, oh my God, like, what is happening? And so it was like, I didn't know what to do in that moment.
I would have been like,
Yeah, I had
tracking.
seconds. And I'm like, do I turn around and go back the way I came? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to run all that mileage again. Or do I like just stay put? And I'm like, I don't want to be a perv. I don't want to
Yeah.
just.
No, no.
So the only option I had was to run by them, and I did. I said, "Hey, good for you guys," as I was running by, because
I wonder if they remember that.
I'm sure they do.
Like,
I
I got
mean,
a thumbs up
I can't
for my
remember.
performance.
I can't forget it. So
Oh, you're
yeah,
getting bright red. Okay.
I am.
Well, we'll move on to your Mountain Men then.
Okay.
So you started publishing Mountain Man romance last year with Liberated for the Loggers. So we are always told as authors to pick a lane and stay in your lane. And
Yeah.
for people who don't know what that means, it means you're just supposed to pick a trope and then just write in that trope, like for the end of time.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I know you can't do that. I just have too many story ideas. So, what made you decide to transition from MC to Mountain Man?
I needed a palate cleanser so bad at that time.
Yeah.
I, my books are a mashup of, the suspense, the inks, the steamy times, and humor. I always have humor, but sometimes my books are really heavy on the angst. And um, I do, because I said there are darker themes in my books. Sometimes they're a bit heavy, and I had just come off of publishing Kneeling to Candy, which was the FMC, prior to meeting the MMC, had gone through a lot in her life. She had gone through a lot of trauma. So it was a very trauma heavy book for her that she was recovering from, and, moving forward in her life with someone that supported her. And I was jumping into a book that I'm coming out with this year, Punked by Love, which is by far the most heartbreaking book that I've written thus far.
Oh,
And I am one of those people. I have an outline, and I tend to follow it. Yes, I might deviate here and there from there, but yeah, but I
salmon
kind of,
upstream.
yeah, I'm not necessarily a pantser. What do they call it when it's a cross between the two? When you
Oh,
plant,
between a plotter and a pantser, I have no idea.
I forget what they call it, but anyways, I'm a cross
Plants?
between planter. Maybe that's what
Is
it
it
is.
plants?
I'm a planter.
You sound like one of Santa's reindeer.
It kind of does, doesn't it? But I was trying to stay within my outline when I was writing Punk's book, and I was just like, this is really heavy. Like I'm having a hard time. And um I I knew at that time I needed to write something a little more upbeat, something happier, funnier. And I had this scene that I was kind of brainstorming in my head, and I was like, I need to write that right now. And it was, forced proximity in a cabin in the mountains, kind of steamy, funny scene. And I wrote that, and it was like, "Whew, that felt good." And then I went
Yeah, I
back to
mean, you need it. It's like a
yeah,
reset.
yeah. And so then I went back to Punk's book, but I kept thinking about that scene, and I couldn't get it out of my head. And it just happened to coincide when I was meeting my alpha reader, Janice, and my good friend, author Greta Rose West. We were all in Milwaukee for the Meet Me in Milwaukee book signing event. And I just kind of threw the idea past them. I'm like, what would you think if I did like a mountain man novella? Like, I'm like, I don't need to necessarily write a whole novel on it, but I needed something that I felt was refreshing for me, different from what I typically write. I mean, still the insta-lust-to-love, but I just wanted something that was more positive. And they were like, oh yeah, do it, you know. And I like, it was just like, oh, okay, they think it's okay. But both of them were kind of on me after that, like, have you written anything for it? Are you, the Janice was asking me every day, like, are you done with it? Can I read it? Like,
Wow.
I did
Okay.
chapters. And so I was like, okay, I
You're
guess
like,
I
yeah.
need to write this. And I'm glad I did. It really did help. Um, it helped me, like, it was a good thing for me to do, to come back to my Mercy Ravens with a fresh head and being able to write some of these scenes that I was struggling with at the time. So yeah, I think it's necessary for writers to do that occasionally, to
Yeah,
just
I did a
bring,
180 from dark and then wrote sweet YA. So or rom-com.
yeah,
So yeah. Yeah, I'm
those
there
are
with you. And
those
you
are
and
the
you need to.
opposite ends.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of like that tells you right there what my brain
Yeah,
mentality is. So
no,
I'm like,
I
ooh.
I think I think I think authors need that sometimes, even if it doesn't necessarily go anywhere. Like, if you don't decide to publish it or whatever, it's just for you. I think it's good. It's good. It keeps you in the writing habit so that you don't feel stagnant. But yeah, I agree.
Do you plan to write any more? Because
Yes.
because I saw, on your Amazon page, it like it leaves it open for more to come.
Yes, I am at
Okay.
least writing two other ones. I've written a couple scenes for the second book, but I'm no idea when I'm going to come out with that. That's more like, I am not getting anywhere with my current whip. I need to step away and write something. So really, that's good for me. It's like, oh, something still gets created, and but the next one's going to be a little bit, not a little bit, a lot more spicy than the previous one. So
Oh, the
yeah,
next Mountain Man one is?
yeah,
And it's still going to be a novella?
it's still going to be a novella. So
Oh, so it's going to
yeah,
be a very spicy Insta
it's going to be
love.
a very spicy one.
Okay, MJ, you are really active on social media, and that is like the bane of our existence as indie authors. Um, but you're really good at it. So for debut authors just getting started, how do you manage that marketing aspect? Because it's a time suck.
It it is. It is a major killer of time, and it's one of the necessary evils of self-publishing. Um, but you have to do it. It's a free way to advertise your book. Not everybody can afford the ads, or the paid promos or things like that. So social media is a great way to get your book out there. It's a learning curve, because understand
Algorithm,
hate the algorithm,
algorithm.
and it's always changing. So it's like you get
Uh-huh.
something down and then it changes, and then and then additional platforms come in and you're like, oh, do I do that one, do I not do that one? And it's,
Because you feel
yeah,
pressured to.
you do, because it's like, well,
Yeah.
what if that's the new thing, like you want to get
Yeah,
on it
like
early.
when everybody started jumping over to Hive, and then you
Mhm.
have Discord, and then of course, WhatsApp, and then your
Yep.
Instagram. Blue Sky came out,
Yep.
and oh my, and then Lemonade,
Yep.
TikTok, and what was that other one? Storygraph,
Yeah.
and
There's a few other ones.
yeah, on and on and on.
It is, and it's, I mean, there are a lot of elements about it that I like. I love interacting with other authors. I love interacting with the readers. I think it opens up a lot of great conversation that you can use in your own marketing, that you can use in your own books. There are some really wonderful things about it. It can be very toxic at times, which you got to step away.
Last year, yeah,
It got bad.
yeah,
Yeah. And I really try to stay out of the drama, but sometimes it's like things come up where I'm just like,
yeah.
oof, like the AI discussion, it's like I go so red with that. I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, do not talk to me about using AI. But there, it's just, yeah, it's a big time suck, like you said. But I notice that I do better um, with my sales when I'm consistent with my social media posts. And by by consistent, I'm saying I'm posting the minimum 5 times a week. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's multiple times in a day too, depending what it is. And it's like, and I'm utilizing everything. It's not just posting and ghosting. You can't post and ghost. You have to interact.
You have to post and scroll and like and comment and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to sit there for hours. You can get sucked in for hours. That's where the
Find her
problem
cat
comes in.
videos.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's like I like this, I like this. But yeah, it's being consistent for me. Um because like you mentioned, I'm an advocate, and I so romance writing is not the only writing that I do. I am an advocate for public education, especially for marginalized students and teachers. And I spend the majority of my time writing articles about it, writing blogs about it, speeches, letters to the editor. I'm doing news. I'm doing stuff with the news stations a lot lately. It's crazy here, but so I have a lot of spacing spread out between my publications. So I got to have a way to keep my readers engaged. So posting on social media is a really big thing for me to, it's like, hey, remember this scene or remember
You got
this
to keep
character?
yourself,
Yep.
in the current reader thought
Yeah.
process.
You get just to, keep them, have them remember me. I don't want them to forget me.
You're like,
Yeah. But it, it, it's, there's certain things that I specifically do that help me. I am a big I'm big with Canva. We've talked about this before.
yep.
I use Canva for making all my social media posts. I'm now using it for creating book covers, and it's very helpful. And you told me about the websites
Yeah,
that
for your
they
websites, yeah. And then
and
they also have, I didn't tell you last time, because the digital art programs like Procreate and Adobe Fresco. Well, Adobe Fresco is free.
yeah.
And I don't have a iPad to use Procreate, but Canva came out with one that's free as well. So it's this whole,
What is
yeah.
it called? Wait, I need to write
I
this
will
down.
have to send it to you because you have to download it. I downloaded it, but I haven't opened it because I'm just too freaking busy right now. So I don't have the time to learn a new thing. But
Oh,
when I do, I'm going to check it out because I want to start doing my own character art.
I want to too. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So we need to work together then. We need to like
Okay.
collab with stuff because I
I
used to
love that.
draw.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and it's just that I'm not really. I need to get better with faces. And
Yeah.
so that's what I really want to work on is working on faces and facial expression. Anyway,
Oh,
tangent.
I'm so excited.
So you and I have got to like connect later about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so so you said Canva was a big
Canva is
one that
Canva is a big thing. I I have Canva Pro, but unless you're utilizing it a lot, I would just stick with the Canva free.
free.
Like I
Yeah.
said, we're posting constantly, and
Yeah,
we're
and we're
using it.
creating like,
Yeah,
just daily I'm creating a graphics
yeah,
for something.
yeah. So you're really getting your money out of it. If you're just gonna, occasionally post, I would not invest in the Canva Pro. But if you're someone that's like, okay, I'm going to be doing this a lot, or I want to make my own covers, or use the free websites, like you said, I think that is a great tool to utilize.
I mean, honestly, for indie authors, that part, the graphics and that part of social media,
Yeah.
I would definitely say don't do the free, get the pro. I
Oh, you
mean,
would say,
because if you're going to be an author and you want to get your stuff out, you've got
okay,
to do those graphics, and that's like a must-have in
yeah,
your arsenal of tools.
yeah. I would say I would invest in with that first before ever investing in a domain. We talked about that, having a website and stuff like that. I would utilize a
Yeah.
free website if you're going to use a free website. Like you said, they do. You switched over to Canva, you said, for your.
So I've my main author, I'm still with a web
Okay.
hosting company. It's now Bluehost. It used to be Gator.
Okay.
But then when my renewal came up for my book cover design um, biz, they jacked up the price like by triple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. It's
Yeah.
like I'm already paying for, this
Yeah.
other
So
one.
much.
And then that's when I discovered that Canva does the free ones, and you don't have to have a domain name. You just can like name your site, and then it's like .my.canva.site is the rest of the URL.
And you can
But
use that then for a newsletter too, then, right? Yeah. That's
well, yeah, I guess you could. Oh no, actually,
oh, you
newsletters, that's a whole other ball game that we could talk about in the entire, podcast. No, for newsletters, legally, you are required to have a
can,
domain, but
yeah.
Canva lets you can buy your domain anywhere, and Canva lets you bring that domain name
Oh,
and link it to the free website
that's
that you
perfect.
get. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think that would be a great way to utilize it. Like you said, I just renewed my domain and website. that was that was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's this much money. But I'm like, I've got it for like the next 3 years. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's a future MJ problem to, to worry about. But yeah,
What are your like top three things that you would say if you're a new author, or if you're a new indie romance author particularly, because it's different for like nonfiction and other genres. If you're a new debut romance author, what are the big three things that are your must-have tools in your arsenal to start out with?
well, the Canva's the big one. I I think, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Um,
Throw some out to you. Do you think having a website is very important for people to find you?
I don't know. I feel like most of my readers are finding me on social media. So I would say social media is a big thing. You have to put yourself out there. You don't,
Say Instagram, TikTok, which platform should they focus more on starting out?
well, that's the thing. You don't need to do all of them. I think whatever ones you decide to do, be very active on them. As long as you're active on it, you're good. If you're just, like I said, if you're just doing the posting and ghosting, that's not going to help you. So if you are someone that's going to be very limited with your time, then I would say, invest in like the really big ones, like the Facebook. You almost have to use Facebook, especially if you plan on doing ads in the future.
Mm.
Um, Instagram is
Instagram.
Instagram is my happy place.
Mhm. That's
Yeah,
until they start messing with it, and I'm like, stop.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really hate it when they just switched up the image dimensions again,
Yep.
and like why? Like they just switched it, and then they
Yeah,
switched
they
it.
added like it was like 1350 and now it's 1440.
Yeah, it's
It's like, why do you need that much more?
I know it drove me crazy when I saw that. I'm like, because sometimes when I do sit down to make a lot of my images, it's like I'm doing a lot. I'm not just doing
Mm.
like one at a time. So yeah,
Yeah,
then
I
you
do
have
mine
to,
in bulk. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, that ticked me off. But yeah, the picking the social media is very good. I used to like TikTok. Um yeah. We don't need to go there.
Yeah.
But I
No, I'm barely present there
yeah.
anymore. So the whole thing going viral and the whole book talk phenomena, I think is
Yep. I agree.
I
I
mean
think
it's still a big thing,
yeah,
but it's
but
not as big as it used to be.
it's what I have noticed is since it's been taken over by new ownership, it does not push out your videos like at all. They want you to pay to play, and it's you don't need to. Like at some point, yeah, but it's like they know they purposely restrict the algorithm from pushing it out, so you're forced to pay, and it's like I'm not going to do that. I still get great engagement with Instagram. For me works the best. I feel that's where my most active readers and authors are. I I think it's easy to use, and that's a big plus for me. I like that we can add music. I like that we can do special effects on the images occasionally. I like that we can post reels, their stories, their and you can have like you can put like
Connected to threads and
yeah, I
yeah,
and even to Facebook too if you have
Facebook,
like
yeah.
and I think that's a good one. A third one. What's a third must? Well,
Newsletter?
I think the newsletter is important, but that also comes back to the whole domain issue.
Yeah.
But like you
And then
said,
you have to build up your newsletter. And I mean, the a lot of ways to do that. I mean, you do that with including, like
yeah.
read this for free if you sign up for my newsletter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other big one is giveaways and things like that. But then you have a lot of drop off because people are only interested in those free things. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I find emails are hit and miss. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
they're really good for some authors, but then,
I
you
think
know,
well, I only do a monthly one. I don't I some authors are doing them weekly, and I'm just like, no, I that's a little bit too much. And it
it's
I don't
spammy to me.
yeah, it's like that's a lot more writing that I could be doing in my
It
books, but
takes a long time to do. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does. And I like the newsletter for the fact that there are some readers that only they don't do the social media. So they follow you with through the newsletter, and it's like you want, especially when big things happen, you want to get that information out to them. And they're pretty they're pretty consistent with opening them, which is great. So it's like, okay, they're at least getting that information when you put it out there. But yeah, the websites are great. Like if you sell merch, which you don't sell merch,
Well,
I
this
I
is one thing that I think a lot of authors
mhm,
don't realize
mhm.
is that you need to check your state laws
Yep,
because you can't just start selling your books on your website. You
yep,
have to have special seller's license that you have to apply for from your state comptroller,
yep.
because like where I live, um, I'm only allowed to sell two things in an
Mm,
entire year. before I have to start filing and paying and remitting
Yeah.
taxes. And then you're also responsible for the VAT taxes, the new EU laws. If
Yep.
you sell to anybody who is in an EU country, you have to have a representative living in an EU country
Yeah.
that represents you in order to set. I mean, it's just no,
It's a whole
no.
big thing. I
And so honestly, I think a lot of authors don't realize that and they just start selling
Yeah.
this
No, I
stuff.
have
And that includes at book signings too. I mean,
yeah, you got to be careful with that. I like to keep track of everything that I sell. And I give all that to my tax person too. And I'm like, here,
you're just like
do this.
handle it for me.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with that. You do that. I'm not the number person. But I don't sell my books direct. I know that's like the ultimate thing that lots of authors want to do. I do sell merch that is connected to my it's connected to a third party, a Printify store. So
Yeah, so they do the remit, the taxes and everything for you. Yeah.
yep. And then you get, an itemized receipt for everything that you can put with your taxes, which is very nice. I do like that. But I don't have, I mean,
Third one. So like the big two. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
would say
it's
definitely utilize the marketing tools like Canva and using social media as a way to freely advertise. And yeah, and just be careful with how you're advertising because a lot of newbies think that you can just write whatever on an image or
or
in
take
the
a
post.
picture off of Pinterest, which you cannot do.
Yeah, you
You
can't
you
do
have
that.
you have to own the user license for the fonts. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't realize you can't just take a font,
yeah,
even from Word or whatever. It has to have a license with it, and Canva does that for you.
yeah,
And the images, any image you can't just take off of Pinterest. You can't talk off, the internet. You have to have a usage license for it. And again, with Canva, you get that because
yep, it has
if
it.
you use the stuff, yeah. So,
Even videos, it has videos,
oh
which is
yeah, and
wonderful.
videos you can't do.
Yeah. I mean, there are free imaging sites, but I'm very scared. Like that makes me pause when I see that because it's like, where did you get these images? Like people are just putting these out for free and you can just download them.
Yeah,
So I'd be
no.
very, very careful using that. There
Coming from the
are,
book designer part, I really hate it when people go, "Oh, you can go to defont.com and those are free." They are not free. You
yeah,
you have to read very little on defont
yeah,
is free. It's only for personal use. You can't put it on a book cover for commercial use or anything
yeah.
like that. And so you have to be educated. I mean, you really have to pay attention to that fine print.
Yeah. And like I said, it's being careful with the images, but also being careful with the text, the words that you use on your images or in your posts that you have to be very, very careful. It's like, no, there are the little AI bots out that are, waiting to see that stuff. So you gotta be careful with that.
And even things like just saying hand, like on TikTok, if you say hand or mouth or any part of the body, it gets flagged. And so that's why everybody mouth gets flagged. And so everybody, uses like that like Norwegian O or something that they put in because you have
Oh,
to you have
I
to find
usually use
clever
a
little
zero.
ways.
I usually use a zero. Like anything that I think might, but mouth. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to double check now some of my
Yeah.
posts.
You'll get like thrown into like the ghost dungeon
The ghost dungeon.
is
Yeah,
what they call it.
yeah, and then it's a hard way to dig yourself out of that. That's for sure.
It is. Sorry. We've completely gone over a day. I mean, we could like talk about all of
Yes, we
this
could.
marketing stuff for like the next month and not stop. But
Yeah.
I want to get back into your books.
Hmm.
So what do you have planned for your readers for the rest of this year?
So Punked by Love is coming out this year. I don't have the exact date yet, but it is coming out this year. Readers have waited long enough and they're gonna get it. And then I have been fortunate enough to be asked to join the Royal Bastards MC series, started by Crimson Sin. And so that book is called Coveted by Cupid, and it's coming out September 5th this year.
Nice.
Yeah. And so those are my two big projects. There might be something little in there. I
Another
don't.
mountain man might
We,
get you born because you need a little palate cleanser.
yeah, something, but but that's I'm only committing to the two for sure.
Okay. Yeah, this year was supposed to be my year off and it ain't happening.
Oh,
So, okay, just for fun.
yeah.
Okay, if anyone knows you, they know you're like the meme queen.
Oh yeah.
You particularly love naughty, dirty memes. So, um, if you were a meme, what would it say?
Um, so it's got to be suggestive, spicy, bookish, preferably, and I'm not sure if I can use the word like we talked about it before, but like I don't watch. I'll say corn. I don't watch corn. I
Okay.
read it like a lady, and
Yes.
that very much is me.
Yep. I made bookmarks that say that so that I
I
can
love
have
that. I
so I can
love
have
it.
with my Cricut.
Oh, do you use Cricut? That's a
Uh-huh.
great tool to have.
Oh yeah, no, I got tired of buying stickers. I was like,
Oh,
I'm making my own stickers. I'm making my own character bookmarks. I'm making
you know what? I envy you. I really, that's something that I've been considering doing. I have like a thermal
sales.
label maker that, so if I just want like a black and white like image, I can do it with that. But the Cricut, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm not really good at it. I just know how to make two things really well. So. Okay. What is your all-time favorite romance novel that you could like reread a million times and you would never, ever, ever get tired of it?
You're gonna fight me on this one. I have a few of them, but you're gonna fight me on my classic, which is Wuthering Heights.
Oh yeah, we've been into an argument about
Yeah,
that. Yeah. No, so they're so unlikable.
I have read that book at least once a year since I was 12 years old. Um, and yes, they are very unlikable characters. They make you angry. I think there's something kind of real about them though, because they're like that. I know you're giving me the side eye on that. You're like, yeah. Um, but like I said before, there is a quote I'm paraphrasing by Edgar Allan Poe where he says, you know, show me your worst and let me love you anyways.
I love
And that
that.
very much is those characters. They have seen each other at their absolute worst and they still love each other. And it's
So
just
toxic.
I know they are toxic, but that was like dark romance for the time.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
truly was. But yeah, I really love that book. I don't know why. Just I got into it when I was 12 and it's just been, you know, always there.
You know, I'm probably going to be messing with you now. I'm going to like send you like memes
It is, yeah,
just to mess
they are
with you.
toxic. And then I got two other ones. I my comfort read is Busted by my author friend Greta Rose West. It's an romance, cowboy romance, and um, it's just so good. She's so witty with her writing, and she can have you crying one second and just laughing the next. And I'm just like, oh, I I love that book. I can read that anytime. And then the other one is a dark mafia romance, Grieved Loss by Adelaide Forrest. And it's, you know, he's the enforcer and he's absolutely infatuated with this dirty cop's wife. And when the dirty cop, you know, comes to hit, unfortunately passes, he takes the opportunity to claim her and her kids as his. And it's just like, oh,
That's good romance paper right there.
yeah, I agree.
Guy loves your kids and they're not his. Yeah,
Yep,
it's
yep, I love
check.
that. Yeah, that's a good one. You got to tell me yours now, though.
My all time. Oh goodness. Oh, Once and Always
Mm.
by Judith McNaught. I've probably read over 100 times. So
Mhm.
it's her historical. There's just oh
Yeah, I got to be in the mood for a historical one, but once I get into them, it's like I get sucked in.
oh shoot. I don't even have to be in the mood for a start. It's just Jason. Jason was like my first book boyfriend from her book. I was like so it was like enemies to lovers historical.
Yeah.
I was just yeah. Anyway, melt, melt, melt. What is the most used emoji on your phone?
The laughing emoji because I'm always
Yeah, I
sending
can see
memes to
that.
people or someone sending me, funny stuff. And it's like so, the things that I get from some people, it's like, oh my God, that's super funny, but I can't reshare it anywhere. So it's just like,
Really. And then what moment in your past do you wish you could relive again for the very first time?
um, that was when I broke top 30 in Amazon. And that was for,
Oh.
we talked it,
Yeah, it was
there's a
I
TikTok.
remember that clear as day.
Yep.
It was a wall video with just text.
Nothing thing, but it just blew up. And that, and it really was like, I'm like, oh, I have to post something. Let me do this. And it went nuts. And yeah, that was a wonderful feeling. If I could recreate that every single time, that would be amazing. But yeah, that was a good feeling. That was a good feeling.
Yeah, I remember your thank you video afterwards too. It
Oh,
was
I was
very
crying.
sweet. Oh yeah. No, it was very sweet. So, I mean, the fact that I remember it and it was what, how many years ago?
It was quite a few years ago now.
Yeah.
Three, maybe? I have no idea. Something like that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. You can find MJ's books on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. I will leave her bio and links to some of her books in the description below. And then until next time, happy reading, everybody.
Thanks for having me.